Speaking of redefining mail, in our last video, we began deciphering the stone letter.
We established that Mike Patton's expansive discography is in fact the stone letter.
His music made it to the mainstream with the 1989 release of the Faith No More album, The Real Thing.
The second track on the album, Epic, beckons the question, what is it?
As we stated in our first video, the epic question started being answered long before it was even asked.
We initially looked at the Mr. Bungle song definition of shapes to begin answering the epic question.
Ideas from the bottom of the ocean refracted by the different densities. Mr. Fisherman don't catch a full load, he just keeps floating on the surface endlessly.
Why won't Mr. Fisherman go beneath the surface?
Well, Candy, if you dwell on the surface and never look deeper, then you will never know the truth. So you dive. Mike Patton has made something that the longer you look at it, the more you see. The more you dive, so to speak, the more layers of meaning you find. Which begs the question, how much of it is real?
It is the real thing, to quote the Faith No More song, The Real Thing.
What is?
It is.
It, you say? What is it?
It's it.
It, as in Stephen King's It?
I imagine many of you are familiar with Stephen King's novel It, or the 1990 movie adaptation or newer releases. For those of you who don't know, It is a shape-shifting entity that feeds on terror. It appears in the form of your worst fears, but its preferred shape is Pennywise, the dancing clown.
That makes sense, right? We are all more likely to trust familiarity. Clowns are familiar characters that most of us were introduced to in childhood. It, or Pennywise, deceives a group of children self-named the Losers Club.
Yes, we're all more likely to trust the familiar. That's part of how adults in trusted positions are so easily able to abuse kids.
As inexperienced young people, we see at face value. As we progress, interactions with others show us how much we don't know. We see the clown getup as a disguise rather than a persona. Perhaps that's why so many people are afraid of clowns. Perhaps it reminds people that we are all wearing masks.
What do you think of when you hear the word clown? Of a jester, a joker, or a fool? Do you think of Pennywise or the Losers Club?
We all know the class clowns, the tricksters who steal the show. The it guys and the it girls. What about the people at the butt of the joke? What about the misfits discarded along the way? What about the dead goons?
Dead Goon is the final song on Mr. Bungle's 1991 self-titled album. Notice the clown on the album cover.
Do you see what the clown is holding in his right hand? It's a lit match, which is apparent by the fact that his face is illuminated by the flame. For this reason, I have taken to calling Mr. Bungle's self-titled album the Match Album. This title is a play on words, as understanding this album requires matching all 10 tracks with Mike Patton's music videos from his various projects.
It is necessary to pause here to tell you that we discovered this completely by accident.
We were driving one night listening to music as we often did. We switched over from YouTube to the CD player where the self-titled Mr. Bungle album was.
Dead Goon started playing through the car speakers as the midlife crisis video continued playing on the phone with no audio. We couldn't help but notice the music video fit in time with Dead Goon.
We decided to try pairing all the songs from the Match album with the music videos from Mike Patton's various projects. We discovered that the Match album is designed to be played over many of Mike Patton's music videos. We would love to show you, but we can't because of copyright restrictions.
You'll notice that Mike Patton is even wearing a Mr. Bungle t-shirt in the epic music video where he's posing the epic question, what is it?
Well, what is it anyway?
In simplest terms, it's Mr. Bungle.
So what does it mean to bungle?
To bungle means to carry out a task clumsily or incompetently. To be a Mr. or Ms. Bungle means to be awkward in all that you do.
It's important to specify that these goof-ups are not intentional. Bungling is very different from being callous, careless, or cruel.
The bungles are not the ones with ill intentions. They can't stop the hiccups, but they're expected to do so with ease.
Why is Mr. Bungle such a fuck-up? It comes down to the fact that there is often no distinction made between equality and equity.
Equality means each person or group of people are given identical resources or opportunities.
Equity recognizes that each person has a unique set of circumstances and allocates the proper set of resources to achieve an equal outcome.
The playing field is not even. Indentations to the landscape are often the result of trauma.
To quote Epic, "It's dark, it's moist, it's a bitter pain, it's sad that it happened and it's a shame." So going back to what makes Mr. Bungle such a screw-up, recall the beginning of the Epic music video. The music video begins with Mike Patton in a fetal position crying on the couch. What do you think when you see a Mr. Bungle? Do you see a freak?
Do you wonder if something bad might have happened? Do you wonder if something bad is happening?
I don't think that very many people think twice. This society does not encourage empathy. As such, this species has been selectively breeding for sociopathy for hundreds of years.
What is it to step in the shoes of those who can't keep up? How does it feel to be met with eye rolls, snickers, and sighs? To be a deer in the headlights is often to be a bull in a china shop.
The Match album is an acetylene torch candlelit vigil for all the dead goons. Follow us down the rabbit hole and walk in the shoes of all those who the sanctity of life did not apply to.
The Match album is a concept piece, which means its tracks hold a greater purpose collectively than they do individually. The band Mr. Bungle successfully tells a central narrative through instrumental, compositional, and lyrical means. This epic is very meta.
Speaking of meta, in our next video we will be discussing the first song on the Match album, the song Quote Unquote. We will be dissecting the song under a never-before-seen lens. What is being quoted? What is being unquoted?
What shapes are being defined and redefined?
I'm not sure when we're going to be able to make more episodes.
Until then, keep your eyes out for more episodes of Mojo Kids TV.